Hello and welcome to Is This England, a show where we talk about old England games and ask just how England was this.
It's emergency pod time with England wrapping up the Nations League campaign and less than 2 months till the World Cup. Let's get into it.
You may be a stranger, that's what time can do. Baby, you mean everything to me.
Let's get into it. We have a lot to get into.
It's big talk time.
It's big talk time, absolutely sponsored by Darren Trade Van or some form of trade industry.
Checker Trade, they could sponsor us, couldn't
Checker
they?
Trade, the Van Monster.
Something about guttering.
Yes.
Hedgehog gutter brush, was that one of them? I remember that from years ago when I used to listen to Talk Sport.
Gorilla Glue?
Gorilla, was it ever sponsored on that? There's no way of knowing, really.
There's no
is
way
there?
of knowing. We could look at the records and who's paid what.
I mean, well, we do enough research on this program anyway for us to go into the hedgehog gutter brush.
Well, we haven't had to do as much research this week because we're talking about the current state of affairs. As we said in the introduction there, less than 2 months to go to the World Cup. England now have no more games to play.
We're out.
We're out.
We're out of games. We've unfurled our pockets and there is nothing in there.
So the next time England play will be the opening game of the World Cup.
Just madness, isn't it, when you think about that? Like, there's not even, like, they could have given them like a week, like an extra week at some point to maybe have the Nations League games right before the World Cup, because I don't think any of the teams can really draw each other, and then you'd actually go, there's a point to those games more than just the Nations League.
We're at the end of September and I'm already thinking Christmas is just around the corner. And if that feels close, the World Cup starts about 3 or 4 weeks before Christmas.
It's crazy, because I noticed that the Cricket World Cup starts in October, and I think just as that finishes, I want to say that the Football World Cup starts, and I'm just like, oh my God, I've got so many World Cups to come.
Wow. Emergency pod time. Quick general overview before we do what we're going to do. Is it emergency time?
In general for England?
In general for England.
Well, due to this last kind of international week we've had, I don't know if England have come out of it in a better place than they were beforehand, but at least I think after the Germany result, there was at least a guide of something that may be to come. And you know what? England aren't going to play teams like Italy and Germany in those first three games. So there is something to kind of go out of, like, right, maybe get out the group into the next knockout. It's not going to be the big team. Quarterfinals really is where you've got to be aiming at this point.
Yeah, I'd kind of agree. I'm not necessarily sure that the situation we are in warrants an emergency, but we'll get to the reasons why. So we're going to start. Well, there were 2 Nations League games this week, and before we get to those, we're just going to have a look back. It's important to look at the context as a whole, not just the 2 most recent games. England's last 15 games have yielded 3 losses, 5 draws, and I think that makes 7 wins.
Yeah, 7 wins isn't the best part of that, is it? But I think England have played like quite a lot of good teams in there. There's obviously Germany.
I think 7 wins is the best part of that. It's maybe not the most noticeable, but
Yeah, but like those 5, like 3 losses in there as well, 5 draws. England have played Italy twice, Germany twice as well. Hungary are actually a much better team than pretty much anyone thought. And I think England have played them 4 times over the space of the last year as well.
wild. Didn't they have quite a good showing at the Euros as well?
They were very good at the Euros, actually. They were in that crazy group of death where they nearly went through on the last night, but they drew with Germany. So I think if they'd have beaten Germany, they'd have gone through. And I want to say they'd have played England.
Yeah, well, they would have.
Yeah. Well, I think it was so crazy, that group of like the 3rd place team still went through, Portugal and France and all that too. But yeah, I think Hungary have really improved a lot.
So I'm just going to run through some of those games. So we're going back to the 2nd of September 2021. A 4-0 win over Hungary at the Puskás Arena. That was followed with a 4-0 win over Andorra at Wembley. That was followed still in September, so the 8th of September, Poland, a 1-1 draw at the Stadion Narodowy in Warsaw. Then we beat Andorra 5-0 in October. Another game in October was Hungary again, as you say. That was a 1-1 draw. In November of 2021, we beat Albania 5-0. Then we beat San Marino 10-0.
Get it in there. That's where we get our goals up now, isn't it?
Now that from September through to the 10-0 in November, that's a good end to 2021.
Through to the 10-0.
after the sadness of losing in the final of the Euros, 4-0, 4-0, 5-0, 5-0, 10-0.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? And it's World Cup qualification. Those are all World Cup qualifying games as well. So England are straight back on the wagon, trying to just get things done. Yep. And 4-0 in Hungary. I remember that was a really impressive performance from England.
If the World Cup would have came at that time after the San Marino game, we would have said great results, but we haven't really played big teams.
Agreed. Yeah.
So let's move on. So we're moving into 2022 now. England's year starts with a 2-1 win over Switzerland at Wembley, and then followed with a 3-0 win over the Ivory Coast, again at Wembley. Here's where things kind of change a little. So both those last two fixtures, Switzerland and Ivory Coast, were in March. So now we're looking at June, which is the end of the Premier League season, I believe, last year. And it's a 1-0 loss to Hungary away. It's then a 1-1 draw with Germany away. It's then a 0-0 draw with Italy at Molineux, and a 4-0 loss against Hungary at Molineux. And that leads us up to the Nations League. If we would have gone to the World Cup after beating San Marino 10-0, I said 2-0 because 10 is just not a number you're used to saying, but it would have been a case, we haven't played it, but we've had nothing but strong teams really then. Switzerland, Ivory Coast, Hungary, Switzerland, Ivory Coast, Hungary, Germany and Italy. And we've not fared that well.
And that's kind of been the point of the Nations League, was that you would have to play better teams more often. Unfortunately for England, it's come at the point where they could have actually done with some easier teams sprinkled in there.
Just a sprinkling.
Well, when you go to a tournament, you usually end up playing against teams from different continents as well and a different ability. And a lot of the times, teams that aren't at the tournament, just so it's like easier to not play them. Like when Netherlands don't qualify, everyone kind of scraps to play Netherlands to see what they're like. But now England could have done with some easier games sprinkled into that and not had this real turge of, God, this is made to feel important. Even though actually, as much as we've kind of championed the Nations League and you're likely to flip-flop on this sometimes, it's still just the Nations League at this point. It's not a major tournament or qualifying for a major tournament.
There's also worth bearing in mind that we did kind of mention it, but that Hungary lost 4-0 and what have you, that was at the end of the Premier League season. I remember saying I don't think those games should have been played, really.
No.
They didn't really add. Was it post Champions League final?
So I think the Champions League final had only taken place like a couple of days before the Hungary away game.
Yeah, which was the draw.
Which was the 1-0 loss.
1-0 loss,
in Hungary. So England were missing a load of the Champions League players and some of the league players as well.
Trent.
Yeah, Trent pretty much. But then you've got a couple of others where you just think, okay, well, maybe they'll come in and do something different. England had a real mix of a squad and a big squad as well. I think they had like 30 players they tried. I think like people like Bowen had got a game for the first time. So there was like experimentation. And you look at the Hungary game, that was the most experimental team I think since the last Euros, really. And it was, didn't go well, as we'll get into.
It didn't go well. So England had 2 Nations League games this week. And they're kind of staring down the barrel of relegation in the Nations League at the start of those 2 fixtures. Do you remember when we covered the Croatia game quite early on? That was Nations League. And we're like, how England would it be to be relegated? Well, it started. So 2 fixtures this week. One was against Italy. One was against Germany. I'm not sure what results England need. I didn't need 2 wins to avoid relegation.
I think they would have. It was at least one. I think they needed to beat Italy no matter what. And I think they could have got a draw against Germany. But I think, again, with Hungary being so strong, it just kind of turned the group upside down.
So Italy, that was last Friday night at the San Siro.
Yep.
I made sure to watch that game, and I just wanted to see England play at the San Siro.
Yeah.
We've done, obviously, some great nights in Rome recently and some good England versus Italy games, and I was hoping for another classic, maybe Jude Bellingham in a a bandage.
Yeah.
But was not to be. It was not to be.
No, you caught this game. I didn't manage to get it. You were the night watchman of the group.
Yeah, but despite catching it, I can remember hardly anything about it because it felt like one of those games where nothing happened.
Yeah,
It was turgid. Both sides really bad, like defensive crap football.
yeah.
Just kind of matching each other. It didn't really feel like England were going to get a chance. Italy felt more likely. I think is it Scamacca?
I think it is.
West
Yeah,
Ham?
West Ham lad.
He was kind of bullying England's defence, I thought, a little. I thought Harry Maguire was fine. There was a lot of speculation or press or attention.
I
on
think
him-
that's it, isn't it?
on
Yeah.
him prior to kick off, and he was fine. I think Kyle Walker was at fault for the goal. Kind of stood off him.
Yes.
I forget him. I don't know who it was. It was a good finish.
Yeah.
And we obviously had Nick Pope in goal, but attacking just nothing. Phil Foden looked so isolated. It was like Kane and Sterling have got this relationship and they understand, and he would make the runs and they wouldn't even consider the pass.
It's kind of like Phil Foden's like not their mate when they're playing football with him. It's like, well, we'll
Exactly.
pass to each other, but not him. He's
And
he's not part of the group.
Yeah, and Sterling's like, he also took my space to City, you know.
Yeah.
You know what he did to me, Harry? Don't. If I see you passing that ball to him, you're on your own, mate.
That's it, mate. You're on my list if that happens. Yeah, no more Christmas cards from me.
And it was a 1-0 loss in the end, which did relegate us. And do you want to talk about that feeling?
It kind of just was a whimper, really, isn't it? It's not like club football, I imagine, where you're relegated and it's kind of like it changes everything around you and the world comes crashing down. It was just, England have gone down from the Nations League, and it was just a universal, well, that's a bit annoying, or a shrug, or whatever. It didn't feel like much. Like even the novelty value for me wasn't there.
Raspadori was who scored the goal.
Yes.
Bit of stats from that game: 10 shots from Italy, 3 on target; 14 shots from England, 4 on target. That has shocked me to my core.
Well, that England had so many on target, or
Yeah, England had more than 130 extra passes, so 537 to 406, with a greater pass accuracy. There were. I think Southgate kind of said, well, the way we played and the shape we kept was a positive from the game. I know people are going to look at the result, and it was close to being a draw. And I know Italy aren't the force that they were just 18 months ago because they were lifting the European Championships and now they're not at the World Cup. But a draw away would have felt like a positive step. But
yeah,
it's when that goal goes in against you and you're just like, yeah, we've lost and we've been relegated now and there's only one more game to go.
and they're not even at the Euros,
Exactly.
at the World Cup. Sorry, yeah.
Exactly. So they just got one over on us again. I think Mancini was rubbing it in going, I think you'll be fine. You know,
You'll
in the
do
press
well,
conference.
lads. Don't worry.
Yeah, they were like, I think somebody said to him, happy to beat England again. He goes, well, they're the real winners. They're going to the World Cup.
You could try and say that without such a smile on your face, Roberto.
In them bloody suits. If I never see them suits again, I'll be a happy man.
You see, Vialli was wearing like a Peaky Blinders hat.
Yeah,
I was like, that's too much. That's too far. That is. Like, I know
Been
it's,
bald for years.
yeah, but it's like high fashion, and he just thinks he's got to wear that like in at a game setting. It's just like, what are you wearing it for? Your head can't be cold. Like it's always out, surely.
It's got used to it. It's like weathered.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
It's got like calluses on it or something. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, I don't never want to see those suits again. Well, we won't have to in the World Cup or the Nations League.
Slugs.
So it'll probably be a while before we see Italy again. Potentially the next European Championships.
I think with that relegation, it means that England will now have another really tough team in their Euros qualifying group.
We should be fine.
You'd
Well,
always
we'll get to it.
Yeah,
we'll
you'd
get
say
to it. Before we move past the two games and start looking ahead, there was a second game.
There was.
England already relegated. There's nothing to play for except it's Germany at Wembley, and it's the last game before the World Cup. You were the night watchman for the first half. I managed to catch the second half.
I was the Night Hawk. I came in for that bit.
So let's first talk about the lineup because there was barely any change.
Yeah, there wasn't much change, was there? I think it was Stones had come in for Walker, and then there was I think that was about it. I want to say there was maybe one more change, but it kind of kept the same team. And to me, that makes me think that's what he's kind of going to go with. He's going to go with the 3 at the back at the World Cup because he's not trusting his defenders. The 3 up front is going to stay, and then the 2 in midfield as well, in central midfield anyway.
Sorry, I was just getting the lineup. I may as well run through it. Nick Pope in goal. Reece James at right wing back, Luke Shaw at left wing back, John Stones, Eric Dyer and Harry Maguire in defence as centre backs, Jude Bellingham and Declan Rice in midfield with Phil Foden, Harry Kane, and Raheem Sterling.
So
up front.
Shaw in as well, actually, for Saka,
Yeah.
who's experimented on that left hand side to try and get another attacking player in. And I remember seeing the lineup for the Italy game and going to you. I don't think there's much wrong with that.
No,
I guess it's maybe the execution of how they then operate. But then for the Germany game, I was like, well, you've taken Walker out. You've got to try something with bringing Stones in because he was banned.
Yeah.
Maybe that's your plan.
And as we say, the lineup is probably a good indication of what we'll see come the World Cup. Talk to me about the first half of England versus Germany then.
England, thought England played quite well in the first. I thought they broke really well. It's kind of poor decision making from the forwards on a lot of occasions. There was a lot of times when Foden or Sterling would have the ball and they just play it like to the wrong person or the wrong way to pass or something like that. I mean, Sterling had quite a few chances in the first half. And on another day, you'd think he would have taken them or like someone would have made something different out of them.
There were some exceptional Luke Shaw passes in that first half, like some truly, Kevin De Bruyne-esque passes.
Yeah.
I don't even feel ashamed saying that.
No, but I thought Luke Shaw played very well throughout the entire game, actually. And there was that one pass to Sterling, which I think was excellent as well, which is what you'd kind of want from Luke Shaw. And where the experiment with Shaw coming back in that game and maybe, or most likely being the starter for England in that left position, instead you've got Harry Maguire, who was in the same situation as Shaw, but probably has more question marks on him than ever.
Probably. Did you miss Jordan Pickford over these two games? I really did. I don't think I saw Pope distribute the ball well once over the course of the two games.
No, not really. And I think then it makes everyone realise how important he is actually to England. For his shot stopping is fantastic. He commands the box really well. He's a big personality. But even just having the confidence to give him the ball back, I think was it in the Germany or the Italy game, he held onto the ball for so long with his feet. He actually kicked it against one of their players, and he was lucky to get away with it. And you rarely see that from Pickford. His distribution is so good.
One of the bright sparks over the two games was in midfield. I thought Jude Bellingham played well.
Yeah, I thought he was good in the first half, and then kind of when Germany were in the ascendancy and winning, I thought then he really came into it. There was a moment for the first England goal where he was kind of under pressure, like deep in his own half, and he had two Germany players around him. He broke really well, broke through the lines, and got England moving. And I think that's really important when England are going to play those two midfielders in Rice and Bellingham. They've got to be really good and conscious about giving the ball out and beating the press. And if you need to do it through running through someone, that's probably where England need to do it because they can't. It's not as good passing it out from the back at the moment because I don't think England have the players to do that well enough.
Let's then talk about the second half of the game because things, after a turgid 1-0 loss against Italy and a goalless first half against Germany, it was looking like a dull old affair, but 6 goals in the second half.
Yeah, when you put it like that, that's quite mad, isn't it?
Split equally amongst the two teams. I'm glad I caught the second half and not the first.
Yeah. First half I thought was all right. Again, I thought England played quite well, but when we get into the second half, Germany scored with all 3 of their shots on target as well.
That's crazy. The first goal was a penalty converted by Gundogan after what has to be described as 2 errors or 1 error that forced a second error from Harry Maguire. And for me, I think Southgate is going to risk his... I'm just going to say it now.
Yeah.
I think regardless of what happens at the World Cup, whether it's a strong performance and we fall just short, even if we win or if we crash out, I think Southgate is going to go. I don't think he wants to carry on past the World Cup. I think it's taken too much out of him. Probably needs a break and then see what other jobs there are ahead of him in the future. Maybe even a return to England later on. He's young enough, but I don't think he's looking past the World Cup. He's bringing in some young players and what have you. But with Maguire, I think he's willing to risk it all to repay what Maguire's done for him.
Yeah.
Because I think something exactly like that will happen in the World Cup. What Maguire did, passing the ball directly to them and then just chopping the man down. He's not... The World Cup is so close. We're not talking about the end of the season.
No.
We're talking about in about 5 or 6 weeks' time, Harry Maguire is not going to get the games for United or put in the performances if he does get them. I'm confident of saying that. To mean that he's going to turn it round, it's a mental sort of issue. I've never seen a player look so overwhelmed with the weight of pressure. The only time I could think back is when Wayne Rooney was at United, and it was when he came back after that injury in 2010. Sort of post World Cup that year, and he was awful.
Yeah,
it was the
yeah.
period when he actually scored the bicycle kick against Man City, but he was still awful for like pretty much a year.
For most of the season, really.
Yeah.
It took until like the back end of that season, like around the Champions League, for him to really kick into gear.
But Rooney's a different mentality to Harry Maguire, and he overcome it again and again in his career. I think Maguire is gonna crumble now.
Yeah.
It's too much.
I think with the pressure as well, and the pressure on him that people even in the stadium put on him as well. Like I've never ever believed in booing your own players. Like I just think there's never a need for it, and it will never be a benefit from it. What you see in that, I probably agree with you that he is going to play in the World Cup because they're going to play the back three. The only thing you can say is, that he risk John Stones playing in that left-sided back three and then playing Eric Dyer? Because I thought Eric Dyer, I didn't see the Italy game. I thought he was okay in the Germany game. I didn't think he was great with his distribution, and he can only play in a back three.
I didn't go in depth on the research for this next point I'm going to make on it, but I feel like the first game of the 2018 World Cup, he sprung a few surprises on us then. I feel like even the likes of Maguire and Trippier weren't guaranteed starters by that point.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, right, he's actually gone with the players he should. He's picked form players in there.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that makes me think he might do it again in Qatar. He might just go, tomorrow, you know what, he's been in the squad. He might not have played the games, but I'm going to go with him. Or like you say, he might move Stones over to the left and give Dyer a chance. Or, which I think is more likely, he's going to risk it all to repay Harry Maguire for what he's done for him and trust his players who've done exceptional for him. Let's all go out in a blaze of glory together, or not. We'll see how it goes. But you've been my team, like,
and I've been Gareth Southgate.
You've been the best. Leave it on until I get out the building. No, but see, that was the point I wanted to make on Maguire. I'm sure we'll talk more about it later. It just felt the right time to bring it up with that goal. Do we want to move forward in the Germany game, or
I haven't really got much to say about it. It was clearly a terrible error at the time when it happened live. I was just like, oh, how is that not a penalty? And I was like, has he got away with it? Is VAR gonna? I was like, do they have VAR in the Nations League? I can't remember. And then it was given. Clearly, it was a penalty. He's tried to overcorrect, and then it kind of leads to the second goal where he's kind of at fault as well.
Forgot about the second goal.
But I would also say when he's come forward at that point, there is a lot of people behind him. His job as a left-sided centre-half out of the three is to go forward and try and make attacks. And there is, when he has the ball and he has the players around him, he has no options on, and he is scrambled out of it. He's still at fault, but I'd still be saying that one, you kind of go, well, there was so much time to correct it. I think even he gets back in time.
That's what I was going to say. I think he gets back in time, gets himself into his position where he technically, inverted commas, should be as that. And then he's like, oh, the man with the ball's 10 yards ahead of me. And then before he can even get to him, he's shot it. So instead of coming back and like getting close to the player who would be closer to his position where he should be, he's just got into like
he's followed the
zone
man, basically. Yeah.
No, he hasn't followed the man. He's just got into the zone and left the man who gets the ball and curls it into the top corner. So to me, there's two errors in that as well.
Yeah.
And I just think he's second guessing every move that he makes, and that's not good, especially when you're passing out from the back.
Yeah.
Which is always high pressure.
Which England, historically have not been good at, especially when you've not got a Pickford to give the ball to and actually pick out a really accurate pass into one of your forward players or into your midfield as well. It all falls on the defence. And Kyle Walker, he was on by that point. I think John Stones had gone off. I don't think he's the best passer of the ball in the world, but he's very good. Eric Dyer, again, good enough. So it kind of comes onto Maguire to do that as well, which no one trusts him to do.
And it was down to the defenders to start digging us out of this hole. Luke Shaw got the goal on 71 minutes to kind of rally the troops a little. I mean, just one more thing, before that. When that second goal went in, there was about 10 seconds of boo, and I've never heard silence like it.
Yeah.
It just cut out. It was like mute. The crowd couldn't even be asked. I mean, the mood has been bad. I don't agree with fans booing like you've said, and I don't agree with... I just think it's a bad atmosphere around England because of England fans.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they insist on doing it, because we've lost a couple of games.
I think it's become more commonplace, unfortunately, in regular football, where everyone has an opinion on Twitter, and you've got to be in, out, with something against something. You've got to be really one-sided, and you just can't have any shades of grey anywhere within that. So those who do go to the game and thought, oh, actually, I'm going to boo because it's my right. Well, you don't have to. It's not like, well, this is not the way going the way I wanted to because I'm a baby now.
You've got the right to eat McDonald's every single day morning.
Yeah, probably shouldn't.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to.
Yeah.
But Shaw basically just forced the ball over the line. It was bobbling all over the shop.
Quite similar to his goal in the final as well, wasn't it?
It's a similar sort of strike. And that was 71 minutes. And then on 75, Mason Mount scored a lovely, lovely finish.
And the substitutes changed it really, didn't they? When Mount and Saka came on, I kind of was like, oh, it's a bit of just a gesture almost, or, we've got to make a change. We've got to do something, bring on the reliable lads. And really, when Saka came on, I thought he changed the game totally. I thought he was outstanding.
We've spoken about before about how, if you had to say the lineup then, who would it be? And I've been saying, I think Saka's probably our best player or something like that.
Yeah.
And then he'll say, so give me a lineup. And then I don't find a space for him in there. But I'm not sure on Mount. You said the reliable lads there. I've never really seen too much of Mount in terms of what he's offering.
I think in terms of Southgate's very keen on him, isn't he? And I think to the detriment of the England team at times, because I don't think he plays him in the right position personally. No. He plays him kind of like one of those wide players, but really I kind of like him more at Chelsea when he's in like one of those number 10 and floating positions. But I don't know if he's been quick enough for England to do that and to warrant a place. I'd much rather see a Foden given a chance there, or someone else like a Grealish to create something. But he was very good when he came on.
Yeah, he was
excellent finish.
Excellent finish. And then not long after that, 83 minutes, England get a penalty for a tackle on Jude Bellingham that looked quite nasty.
Yeah, that was really bad when it happened as well, wasn't it? And yeah, Bellingham just was a growing influence in the game. Reece James was as well. I thought he was fine in the first half. I made a note of, well, looks like Trippier's just kind of like cemented his place to be in that starting wing back. But actually, as it went on and as England, they all grew in, if you were like ranking all the England players in like a rating, they all kind of went from 6s going into 7s. Then, I'd say like James into an 8 because his delivery was excellent. His control when he gave the ball to players as well was excellent. I just was really impressed with him in that second half. And it was kind of down that side that led to the penalty.
And it was a great penalty, wasn't it?
Yeah, he fucking hit it right in the top corner.
Smashed it. I saw something earlier today, and it was quickly proven as bollocks, but just shows the internet. Because for a second, I was like, no way.
Yeah.
It was going, you guys really calling Harry Kane elite. He scored X amount, 46, 47 goals for England. 60% of them have been penalties. And I was like, is that true? Because he scored a lot of penalties.
Yeah.
It's not true. I think something like 20 or even less than that % of them have been penalties.
Well, you know what? I saw something similar to that. It was one of these kind of accounts that is just like fishing for like your stuff. And I got really annoyed by it. So I actually ended up doing some really stupid research into this. So I went and had a look at how many goals he scores against particular teams.
Right.
And one of them, so he has scored 8 goals against teams ranked 10th in the world when he's played against them. So that's pretty good. So that's 8 goals against the 10 like ranked teams, 4 against the 11 to 20, and then 11 against kind of your 20. There were a team that was Tunisia was ranked 22 down to Czech Republic who were 48. There's 11 in there. And then you are looking at kind of like the games when he fills his boots. There's 19 against kind of 51 to 94.
But you've got to fill your boots in that.
Yeah, exactly. England will end up playing a lot of teams who are worse than them. They always have. Wayne Rooney did it, Lineker. Yeah, exactly. If he doesn't score in those games, you're like, oh, he can't even score against San Marino. Like, yeah, he does collect, all these goals against these other teams, but he's got an excellent record against teams like Germany, for example, and he's such a good player in different facets of his game. People sometimes only look at his goals and go, well, actually, these are in certain situations or whatever. Or what he brings to the team in general as well. I mean, look what he does at Spurs.
He's an incredible player. He's the real. I know it's not a new thing to say he's the real deal, but my God, he's just so good. Like you say, his team play is brilliant. He's not the quickest striker, but you know what? He always scores, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he always finds a way.
It's hardly like even when he's in a one-on-one situation. How many times you see a defender just come behind him and take him off the ball because he doesn't, because he's actually strong enough to hold them off and time his run well enough. So if he is on goal, he's going to be on the keeper.
And he's a really good captain.
Yeah, I think he speaks well. He's always on the positive messages as well. Maybe
I think on the pitch though, he leads the fight in his own way. He's not a scrapper,
yeah.
but he won't be bullied and he won't, shirk a challenge or anything like that.
I think as well, if he didn't score the amount of goals that he does, I think he'd get more stick from the media for not being maybe just because of the way he looks and the way he talks. I think people would be like, oh, this is your captain, this is your person you're looking at. But actually, because he's got that record to back him up and he actually does it in big competitions as well. Like he was top scorer at the World Cup. I think he got 4 goals in the Euros last time out as well. So he is, one of England's great players soon to break that record.
And it looked like an insane turnaround was complete, and we were heading to the World Cup with a 3-2 win over Germany. Was not to be, and my phone, which I was watching it on, went all pixelated, so I could hear the audio of the equalising goal, but I couldn't see anything of it. So it was a bit of an error, wasn't it, from Pope? Am I right?
Yeah, I think there was like a cross/shot that came in, and it was just one of those that just drops really awkwardly, spilt it, and Havertz was there to tap it in. It was such an annoying goal to concede, especially for someone like Nick Pope, who you think is a very dependable keeper. I mean, he did make errors for Burnley. It's not like he was, unblemished in that area, but for someone who's been so incredible, probably the standout keeper of the season so far in the Premier League, you'd be wanting him to take his chance more, because I think he's an incredible backup for Pickford, but he's not got the distribution, and I still don't trust Ramsdale to be that second backup as well, even though his distribution is good and can bring what Pickford does. I just can't help but when I look at him, looks like a goalkeeper with just lots of holes in him.
Yeah.
And lots of places to just slot the ball. And I think it's that Hungary game just scarred me when he was in goal.
Henderson wouldn't have a chance, would he? You can't.
I think he'll go. I think it's going to be.
No, he'll go, but I'm saying if Pickford's injured, there's no way Henderson's going to jump and leapfrog the others.
I don't know. Well, I think Henderson's played for England before, and he would have gone to the Euros if it weren't for an injury.
Yeah.
I don't know who will. I think he's obviously going to take 2 of the 3 understudies, but I don't know who they're going to be because Ramsdale's maybe played 1 game, I want to say.
Yeah. Ramsdale's been relegated 5 times now, hasn't
I
he?
know, whatever. Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah.
Oh, my brother was saying that the other week. He was going, he's such a cocky player considering he's been relegated 4 times. But he won't get relegated with Arsenal.
No, I mean, as well. We think about this like ending of the game as well. I just thought my nerves will not take this World Cup. Like I felt this was a really big game for England, and they approached it the right way. And for the first time of watching England since the Euros, I was like, "It's England. I'm watching it.
Yeah.
I'm making this is like what I'm going to do today." I knew we were going to do this, but I would have done that anyway.
Yeah, and I'm not kind of glad it ended in a draw, but just the whole year has been more questions than answers, and it felt right to end that going into the World Cup on something that's just inconclusive. What the hell can you take from us being like letting in 3 goals and then scoring 3 in a mad burst of 15 minutes?
Yeah. Well, so it looked absolutely dead in the water, didn't it? The game.
You can take something about spirit or heart, but we're not going to be playing at Wembley Stadium.
But you would say the goals all came from individual errors. So, but maybe that's the confidence of the England team where they are struggling in terms of individual errors and performances. But as a collective, they played really well. Didn't give Germany many chances. I know this isn't the best Germany team we've ever seen, and won't be their team when the World Cup starts. But there is still hope there.
I'm not sure how much hope I really have. I've got to say, it's just that thing as I talked about earlier. I think it's the end of the line, and maybe going out with a whimper is how it will be. And I just hope people look back on the time that with Southgate when it does come to an end, if it is, a whimper at this tournament, and just think it was absolutely amazing. We shouldn't have slagged him off.
Well, I think as well, like he's not deserved the abuse he gets, and it's just like, he doesn't know. Like it was an article that was published today, and it was like, Southgate thinks that Trent Alexander-Arnold isn't like a great all-round defender or all-round player compared to Trippier, and I was just like, really? Is he not? Because he's got 2 very different parts of his games that are not aligned whatsoever. So I would say Trippier is the more aligned player, but then it was just under comments underneath were just like, doesn't know what he's doing, clearly mad, why aren't you playing him, all this kind of stuff. And it's like, it's such an area you don't need to bitch about.
Yeah. Or the flip side of that coin is Trent is bloody good and could take this team up levels.
He's playing as bad as Maguire is, I'd say right now.
Oh God, no, you can't say that.
And one of them is still playing for his club and country.
Yeah, but no, No, but Maguire.
Did you not see him in like Napoli, Fulham, Man United games? He was terrible. Klopp's been bringing him off in games now.
Maguire doesn't have the competition that Trent does. That's why
But
Maguire's playing.
who's the Liverpool right back when it's not him?
Oh, sorry. Okay, well, I'm just talking about country. The Klopp's not going to drop him. You're playing.
But he's not been playing like all the games now. He's been bringing him off quite early.
It's Premier League as well, though. He'll get his form back through playing with that. Whereas Southgate isn't going to bring him into the World Cup. You'd have thought, right?
I think he'll take him. I think he'll absolutely take him because there's a 26-man squad. Because I was thinking, can he do that? But to me, an impact substitute, the ability he's got going forward when you're chasing a game, it is made for him to come on and do something really interesting.
Interesting. Is it normally a 24?
I think it's normally a 23, but because it's the evil year of the World Cup, I think they've just gone, well, it's 26. You probably allowed 5 subs, I'm guessing at least.
Just give or take a few for death.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. For the migrants, yeah.
So let's. What do you want to talk about next then? Because we've got to look ahead.
Yeah.
Any more thoughts on wrapping up of what we've seen this year, though? I think it's been Southgate's worst year.
Yeah, I'd say so, yeah, because there's always been other qualification things that have taken precedent, or there's other things that have happened, which you've always gone, there's something there. But the build-up to the Euros wasn't great either, if we remember as well. There was a lot of Nations League games which are totally wiped out of our memory. We had all the upheaval at home as well with some of the movements that was happening too, but... Look, this has not been ideal whatsoever, and I'm dampened in terms of what we may be doing going into the World Cup.
Was it 6 games without a goal from open play or something like that it was? Or
apparently penalties don't count for goals anymore. But
but not from open play. But you don't want your team to just score penalties.
No, but England did at the same time from corners. That was their big thing in 2018. That's like where they scored most of their goals.
I know.
I understand that, but I also think you look at the team. It's not like they're playing Albania every week.
No, but you just think. I always think if England are playing a good team in a friendly and it goes okay, upscale that to the World Cup.
Yeah,
the other team will improve more than England will improve and raise the game.
Well, it's an interesting one, isn't it, with this World Cup? Because I've been looking at some of the results that have come in, and I'm really struggling to see some of the top European teams in terms of who's really standing out. I think a lot of teams are going through this problem at the moment. I mean, Denmark beat France the other night. France are in all sorts of problems at the moment. Pogba's probably not going to play. They don't know what to do with the team. They're probably not going to take Giroud as well. And then Denmark are
Denmark are a good team.
Oh, they're a really good team. And then you now think, are they kind of like one of the European better sides? Because Spain pretty much aren't playing with a forward anymore. You've got Germany, a kind of unrecognizable team last night.
Never write them off.
Oh no, but that's what you think of. Just like, Christ, there's them too. Portugal, I think, lost the other night as well, and Ronaldo's got questions over him too.
Oh, they were my hot pick for Euro 2020.
Dark horse.
Portugal. No, I would have bet my house on Portugal winning. I was just looking at their squad and I was just going, it is insane. I think we could probably both say that probably the World Cup will end up going to Brazil.
I think Argentina may win it personally. I think they've got the team now set up the right way, and Messi playing well enough in that team, and it actually probably being a final hurrah for him as well. And
it'd be good narrative.
Yeah, but you also look as well that when I think someone did one of those squad depth charts on Argentina the other day, and I was like, wow, that's quite a team that they could take to the World Cup and start and change games as well. And we haven't had a South American winner for quite some time as well. They've all come from Europe for some time. So I'd say Brazil and Argentina, for me, are probably the favourites.
Oh, it's going to be exciting.
I'd love it if a South American side won, if it's not England, clearly.
Yeah. Right. So what should we look at next then? We've got to laser focus now on England and World Cup that's coming up.
I think maybe let's take a look at the formation, because the formation has had a lot.
Let's talk about Harry Maguire.
Oh, shit,
Formations.
I think let's have a look at that, because it's been talked about for a lot that Southgate plays it safe with the formation he prefers, which is the 3-4-3.
Yeah. And
there is also the 4-3-3, which is seen as, actually, that's a sexy, exciting formation. Why don't we do this more often?
Right. Okay. Let's talk about the 4-3-3 first. Do you think there's any chance he plays a 4-3-3 in any of those group stage games?
I think he probably will play it against Iran.
Yeah,
because I think that's. I mean, England do not need 3 defenders in that team at that point, do they?
Is he going to go in with game plans for each of the? Because we did we play? We ended up playing 5 at the back
in
for the
certain
majority of the Euros, but there were certain
Yes.
games where we didn't, right?
yes.
And do you think he's prepared for that again?
I think so. I think they'll look at that Iran game and think this is a chance. You know, Iran will have a deep block. They will try and frustrate England to the hell. And then you think actually you've got USA coming. I mean, they lost to Japan the other week, I saw as well. So USA aren't in a good place either. So I think he'll probably play the 3 there, and he'll probably play the 3 against Wales. The Wales one is that's such a worrying game.
Yeah, but imagine, I don't know, man. Imagine you beat Iran and you lose to USA. You go on attacking and you get beaten on the break 1-0 and you've gone 4-3-3. What do you play then in that Wales game?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? That's why it's so
It's so,
it's so tricky.
It needs to be wrapped up by then, but does he wrap it up in those first 2 games by going attacking, or does he wrap it up by going, just get the points and get out of there? I don't care how bad you play.
Yeah,
How
think
defensive you play, not how bad you play.
Yeah, I think he'll switch to the 3 for the USA game, which is second, personally. But when we look at the 4 at the back, I mean, you know, the defence currently that England have are either out of form or they've not played enough for England, which I think is a big problem because I don't trust that back 4 at
I
all.
don't trust any of them.
Well, not
any of them,
Yeah.
but you know, I don't trust any formation,
exactly, which is the problem because you've got 3 in midfield that could free up Bellingham, but kind of if you're going to play 2 going forward, Rice doesn't like to be the only holding player there because I've got it in my head that he's a holding player who can go forward. But actually, he gets forward way more because he's got Soucek next to him at club level, and they kind of just take it in turns, don't they? And really, I don't want Bellingham being that player in a 2 to do that. So, is Rice going to be that other person with Foden and Bellingham maybe in midfield? That's a possibility.
Rice, Phillips, and Bellingham.
I'm almost kind of like taking Phillips out of the team because he's just not played at all this season, and he's injured again.
Very true.
I just, as much as I love Phillips, I just don't think he's going to be in that team come the World Cup. Like if he goes in the squad, you're almost kind of like, is this just kind of a bit of a hope? Maybe when he gets to the knockouts, he'll be fit enough.
So we're discounting Phillips. I can agree with that.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And then you're looking at
shit.
and then you are looking at with the both teams as well who supports Kane up front in that forward roles and how do they operate as well. You know, is it a Foden, a Mount, a Saka, whatever, which we'll come to. But that's why I thought in the 4-3-3. It leaves England too exposed and they have certain cogs that fit that formation, but without that good holding midfielder in front of them. Because I don't think Rice wants to do that, and I think he's capable of it, but I don't think they see him as that player.
I don't remember us playing the 4-3-3 ever. It feels like every time I watch it, it's the 5.
Well, if we look a little bit of when England play certain formations, I mean, I think we've all done the 3-4-3 to death, really. I think he does that because he doesn't believe in the defence, and it just gives him a bit more solid, solidity in there. So England played 4-3-3 in most of the World Cup qualification, winning in Hungary, but drawing at home to Hungary and drawing in Poland. So
That's your attacking formation.
yeah, so they win 4-0 in Hungary, like I said. The Hungary game at home is really interesting. So at home, Southgate played a back 4 with Foden, Mount, Grealish, Sterling, and Kane all starting. And you kind of go, take the handbrake off, play all the attacking players, go forward. And it just never clicked in that game. I remember seeing it, and it was just like too many players, actually, of too many forward players. And I remember going, well, that's why you can't play Grealish, Mount, Foden, and another 2 forwards like that as well, because it's just an unbalanced team.
Yeah. It feels like one too many, and for me, I'm not the biggest Mason Mount fan, so he'd be the one I would see go.
But I think a lot of the time it is just, well, it's my favourite player. Why haven't they got my favourite player in the team?
Yeah, of course. So do we want to talk about the 5 at the back, or is the more 4-3-3 analysis?
Well, he kind of changes it as it goes on, really. So it was the back 3 against Switzerland at home and then a 4 against Ivory Coast. So he's experimented again. I think he put a stronger team out against Switzerland and he experimented with the 4 to see how that worked out. The 3 at the back was in the Hungary away defeat with Alexander Arnold on the right wing back position. So that's a game really where he has experimented a little bit. It was a pretty solid first 11 for England. But that was the 3 at the back where they go, you know what, we've got to go back to basics again because the 4 didn't work at times as well. It's kind of hard to tell what England played against Germany away. I remember watching the game, but I don't remember specific. Like he played one of those games where it's Walker and Trippier and a player at left back. So you're like, okay, then I guess it could have been a 4, it could have been whatever. Like you're just comfortable with it there. And it was a really open game. I remember watching that game and thinking England played really well. They kind of went behind. They weren't unlucky when they did it, but it was an open game that, England played well going forward, but got the goal through Kane's penalty as well.
And after that, it was back to a back 4 against Italy at Molineux.
Yeah.
A much changed side.
I think, yeah, it was an experimental side, wasn't it? I don't think anybody kind of saw that team and thought, yeah, that's the team that's going to play for England in the World Cup. But it was a game against Italy at home at Molineux. And you think, all right, this is your experimental game as well. And again, didn't really work for England.
It doesn't count. It's at Molineux.
Yeah, obviously. Well, the next one definitely doesn't count then. It was, Southgate stuck with the back four in the first half versus Hungary at home, but switched to the back three at half time after such a poor performance. And then after that, they were just repeatedly hit on the break for the final 20 minutes of the goals that came in that game. So 2 games I've experimented with at Molineux, both starting with the back four, but then having to change it at certain times because they just had no faith in it.
This is kind of what's gone wrong. It like, you know, at the start of that, you were going, well, we're playing 4-3-3 and we're getting some results. It's not all quite clicking perfectly. Bit of experimentation. Results dip a little, but he's sticking to his plan. And then by the end, it's chopping and changing, switching formation mid-game. And it's just...
I think he's comfortable with the 3 at the back. I don't think he's comfortable with the 4. And I think he gives the 4 a chance every now and then. And when it doesn't go right, it's the safety blanket of the 3.
I completely understand why he doesn't feel comfortable outside of that 5 with 3 centre defenders. I've got no problem with England playing there.
Yeah.
If they start the World Cup with that, I'm not going to be going, because there is enough attacking players there.
Yeah.
I think the free forwards with progressive midfielders like Rice and Bellingham.
And Shaw and, essentially Reece James as well, that you've got more attacking players going forward and just that insurance behind.
I mean, look how crucial. Look at Liverpool.
Yeah.
Different side, different formation, obviously, what have you, but their fullbacks give them so much. They're not, and England's fullbacks do contribute in attacking sense. He's not playing like 3 centre backs and 2 defensive fullbacks. Never does that.
Yeah.
And even the centre backs contribute because they're always playing the ball out from the back. Even the goalkeeper contributes to an attacking thing. But he just doesn't feel like he can pick any 2 centre backs to partner up that give us enough to allow those fullbacks to go up. And and there's not really, you don't want to play Luke Shaw and Reece James or Trippier and Luke Shaw or Chilwell and go, your job is just to stay back because you need our centre backs need support. Let the midfielders and the attackers do the job. Because we've seen it when you talk about when Mount, Grealish, Sterling, Kane, Foden were all on. It didn't work.
Yeah.
You need options and you need to attack from different parts of the pitch.
And I would say, since doing this podcast as well, you go back and you look at different England eras, and something that I thought Glenn Hoddle did really well in the games we've watched is actually get a team working, coached well, playing pretty much this formation at times, but actually playing really good football and getting the most out of players. This is my worry with Southgate at this point now and the team around him, because it's not just him, it is his whole team too. With the players at England's disposal, if you put, whatever 3 is going to be up front and a midfielder that's going to progress the ball and wing backs, they should be creating more than they are currently. Now, I heard today that Southgate apparently wants it. Portugal and France won the last 2 tournaments before the Euros. He looked into having someone assess basically how they won it.
Yeah.
And they did it through grinding out results.
Of course.
Conscious football. And I think he's got that in his mindset with that. And I don't think he's wrong in doing that. And that's how tournament football, in general works. When was the last free-flowing attacking team? I know Italy played really well, but they still defended well and in numbers.
Yeah. I guess, yeah. Would you rather see us lose to Brazil with a performance where we've defended well and we've been unstuck, or where we've gone for it and we've conceded 2 or 3 goals?
But it's kind of like it's still a loss, isn't it? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'd
agree.
rather England be in the game and try and get
agree.
some. Look at that, the Germany game in the
Harry Kane.
Euros. Yeah.
That's always a chance as an attacking team if you've got him.
But look at that Germany game in the Euros. The plan was stay in it until 60 minutes because it's Germany, the forever Germany, really, ever young with that. And what they bring, the idea was stay in the game for a certain amount of time and then release Grealish, then maybe open up a little bit when the game does happen and defend well for the whole time. So you're not going, right, everyone, change, we're attacking now and we just go for it.
There's a lot of confusion surrounding England. I think we've both said in this pod, so in the last 45 minutes or what have you, I think we've both said he's going to play the 3 at the back,
the
5 at the back, what have you. And we've also both said he's going to play 4 at the back for the first 2 games.
I think he will for the first. I think he will for the Iran game, yeah, because I think that's so ingrained in England to play that 3 at the back. I don't think it's a big issue.
But would you not just keep it if you're winning by that point? Why would you switch to five at the back at that point?
Because I think different teams bring different problems with that. Like
No, I agree.
USA
I agree.
may not be this incredible USA team we saw a couple of years ago, but they've got enough players in there to really upset England, and a fragile England going back as well. But you would say when England have the ball, we've said it a million times, they should be better than most teams when they go out on the pitch, and sometimes they're not.
So we're going to move forward and try and look at the team that Southgate may take. Now, I think inevitably some of our own opinions will creep into this.
Yeah.
But I think, am I right in saying we are trying to replicate what we think Southgate will take?
Yeah, because
Without injuries and presuming that Calvin Phillips is injured, right?
yeah, I think that Phillips is the one in there. We go, let's assume Phillips will be back for the World Cup, but he's probably not played a lot for Manchester City, for example. So do you take him as a player where you go, you know what, good enough, can come along, or is it just no, can't be part of the team really?
So 3 goalkeepers, I think this is the easy part. I don't think I'm looking past Pickford, Pope, or Henderson.
Yeah, I'd say the same. I think those are your 3 that you take. I just, again, for me, a personal opinion of Ramsdale.
Will you not take Ramsdale though?
No,
you don't think?
no. I think Henderson and Pope aren't great with distribution. The only thing is, I think Pickford's injured at the moment, isn't he? So you may just go, maybe Henderson and Pope are good enough and similar enough players. Maybe you'd go Ramsdale just for that distribution, so it doesn't totally change how England play with their goalkeeper.
Well, either way, you would really, really hope that it's just Jordan Pickford's spot on.
You don't have to worry about it. Yeah.
He was the one who was probably most doubted ahead of the last Euros, really.
Yeah. There was a lot of talk about it, and even for when he was picked,
Kane,
and when he was picked for the World Cup, Pickford as well. They were like, "Oh, he's playing Pickford." I can't even remember who it was, but there was definitely a call for someone else to get that spot.
So we've got a 26-man squad. We've picked 3 goalkeepers. Shall we go on to defenders and maybe get a list of about 10? Let's start with right backs. How many right backs do you think he's going to take to the
10.
World Cup?
It's going to be 10, isn't it?
I think he will take Kyle Walker.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think he has to. He's almost a starter for England these days. Have we been gushing about him for so long, really?
Do you think he'll take Kieran Trippier, who, just for the interests of, I don't know what the word is, but for full transparency,
yeah,
I think I'd start Trippier if it was me. Whenever I watch him for Newcastle, he's so good. He's literally their best player from right back.
Yeah,
I'd say St. Maxim, but whatever, you get my point.
Yeah, I would absolutely take Trippier. I think he has to go. He also covers you for that left back spot as well. If you just got no confidence in Chilwell or Shaw or something happens, Southgate played him, but was it left wing back, I think, in the opening game of the Euros? So he's reliable, great from set pieces as well. I think he has to go.
Reece James, he's probably put himself on the plane, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think he's arguably, is he going to be the player that's going to start over Trippier, probably just because how mobile he is?
Does Trent go? I don't think he'll take him.
For me,
yeah.
Trent goes, yeah. I think Alexander-Arnold goes because he's got that impact from the bench to change a game.
Well, I don't think he'll take him.
Okay.
We'll come back.
Okay.
Come back to. Are there any more right backs? Aaron Wan-Bissaka?
No. Yeah, I don't think there's anybody else in there really. You kind of then to the left in Chilwell and Shaw. They're the seemingly obvious ones, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think there's anybody else who can. There was a shout I heard on The Athletic for Ryan Sessegnon.
Yeah, I think that's a bit mad.
I think you're trying to be hipster with that one, maybe.
Yeah, he's like the England journalist and he's the Spurs journalist, so he's definitely going to be like, well, actually. Right,
okay. So without Trent, we've picked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 defenders: Kyle Walker, Kieran Trippier, Reece James, Ben Chilwell, and Luke Shaw. How many centre backs can we get in? Maguire's going, right?
I think Maguire's going to go, isn't he?
John
I think
Stones
is going to go, and I'd probably say Dyer's going to go.
Eric Dyer, I like that. Connor Cody. Think he'll take Cody? Do you think he'll take Tomori or Cody?
I think out of the 2, because he's played for England more, I think he'll take Cody over Tomori.
You reckon? I think he will because he's playing in the Prem for Everton and doing all right.
Yeah, he's played in the back 2 for Everton this season. He played very well.
That's why Wolves got rid of him.
Yeah,
They're like,
exactly.
We need to change our style because we want to play 2 at the back, and he's gone to Everton and he's doing it well. I think
no Mings either. You'd say from that.
No Mings.
You'd probably say the ones to miss out are probably going to be Tamore, Guehi, and Mings.
Do you think that he's going to need extra cover at right back with Trent Alexander-Arnold, or do you think he's going to need extra cover at centre back to if Harry Maguire goes out there against Iran and kicks it into his own net, and then all he's got to call on, he's going to play free at the back, potentially, is Connor Cody.
But then you've got Walker takes up one of those spots as well, doesn't he? And I guess you kind of go, Dyer, can you fill in? This is where it becomes like Eric Dyer's kind of come into the team as the wild card and is throwing everything out, really.
I like it. He's got good England creds.
Yeah, exactly. We scored the penalty against Colombia.
Scored a winner against Germany as well before.
He did as well,
3-2 game.
But that's the thing, because he's played so well for Tottenham and he's seen now as he's had a chance and he started these 2 big games. I think he's almost like a guarantee for England now.
A guaranteed starter.
It wouldn't surprise me if he does play. Because my thought is Maguire going to play in that opening game or maybe the second game in a back 3? Because is he going to trust Stones to play that position instead, knowing Dyer's going to be in the middle and then the other guys miss out?
So we've got one more space in defence. We said we picked 10. We've got 9. We've got Kyle Walker, Kieran Trippier, Reece James, Chilwell and Shaw. We've got Maguire, Stones, Dyer and Cody. I think the choice we have, is it Trent Alexander-Arnold? Is it Tomori? Is it even Guehi?
I think it's going to be Arnold personally, because I still think Cody, Dyer, Stones, Maguire and Walker all play centre-back. And Trippier covers 2 positions and you've got your 2 left-backs. Arnold is your player to come off the bench and change something.
Let's do it. Let's get Alexander-Arnold in there.
Yeah.
I think he did actually put him in was it the preliminary squad, or was he in the actual squad for the World Cup before the Euros before he got injured?
Yeah, he was in the squad. He was going. I think it was Ben White, I think was the one. See, White's one of those players where you go, I know Arsenal fans have been clamouring for him to play, but he's just barely got a look in over the last couple of years, has he really? But I don't think I think he's playing at right back at the moment as well. It's like, we've got that covered, Ben.
That's 13 players, right?
Already.
And it's that easy.
Yeah.
That's easy. We've got midfielders and attackers to do. Should we try and name 5 midfielders and 5 sort of winger players? Or do you think we need 4 midfielders and 6 sort of winger players?
I think centre midfield. It's who you take. Is it?
I struggle to name a centre midfield list. Yeah. I'll go first and say I think Jordan Henderson.
I think it depends on Phillips for me. I think it depends if he goes, because I think it's going to be Bellingham and Rice are going to go, aren't they? That's just decided. They're going to start for England no matter what. Really, Bellingham's really shone in these last 2 games that have happened.
Oh yeah, Bellingham and Rice, 100, and they have to be the start. Even if Phillips comes back and plays himself into form, I think Bellingham's leaped him.
I think Phillips and Henderson are the 2 that it's going to be one of them. But you'd probably say, is Ward-Prowse, has he kind of done enough? I think he's a good enough player, but I don't think he would have really played him enough, if I'm honest. And it's not going to be Gallagher either. He's not played enough for England.
So you're not putting Henderson in as a cert? I think he'll definitely go, especially if Phillips is injured.
He'll probably go. I'd agree with that. If he's fit, he'll go, won't he?
So we've only managed 3. I think we need 1 more. I think, could it be Ward-Prowse? Is there anybody else?
I don't think so. I think it's Phillips if he's fit and there's the trust in him to play at the World Cup. If not, it'll be Ward-Prowse, won't it?
Yeah, and you could God, that's not great, is it? It's a good like potential. I mean, Henderson, Phillips, Rice and Bellingham.
It just shows that England are so lacking that centre midfield slot, which I think as well is a problem when they don't play Foden there. And because if you have in the midfield too, you'd want a Foden. To me, Foden should be playing centre midfield for England in a 3.
Yeah,
that's like ideal situation. So why can't we do that? But because we've not done it enough and we've not been able to do it, I think that's the big problem.
So if we've got Ward-Prowse / Phillips. If Phillips is fit, he goes. If not, then potentially Ward-Prowse.
Yeah. If we assume that Phillips is injured, I think it's going to be Ward-Prowse.
We're on to 18 now. So we have 8 spaces to fill. Harry Kane is a striker. Do you want to go on strikers or wingers?
Let's get out of the way. Kane's going to go, isn't he?
Kane is obviously going to go. That's 19.
Yeah.
Right. Who else is a cert? You'd say Raheem Sterling is a cert?
Raheem Sterling is going to be a cert.
Absolutely. Foden
is going to go, yeah.
Who else have we got?
Grealish is going to go, isn't he?
Grealish and Saka.
Yeah, I'd agree with those.
So of the 8, we've used 5 up.
We've 2 space. Mount's going to go, isn't he?
Mount will go 100%. So we have 2 left, and we need a backup striker for Harry Kane.
I think that's to me, I think that's probably going to be Abraham is at the front of the queue, but it depends what Marcus Rashford does over the next couple of weeks.
Because he's playing centre forward for Man United, isn't he, as well?
He is at the moment, absolutely. Yeah. So you'd think actually, I think he's only like today, as it's been announced, he's won the Premier League Player of the Month as well. 2 goals and 2 assists this month.
Interesting. This makes it very interesting. So, oh God, so we have 2 spaces left, and we're kind of picking from Abraham, Rashford, Sancho, Jared Bowen, even Ivan Toney.
Ivan Toney as well. I think if we've got 2 spaces left, I think it's going to be. To me, I don't think there's a player in the England side that does what Sancho does. It's just straight up. I mean, I know Grealish does it, but it's like a different pace and rate, and it scares teams in different ways. To me, to unlock something like that, I think it's a Sancho that is maybe needed in that forward line for a change of pace, really. Like Saka, Saka is what he is.
Yeah.
His weight of pass is just excellent. I've been so impressed with him. But to me, I think a Sancho needs to go, probably.
And Rashford. Are we saying Sancho and Rashford are going?
You'd probably say so to me.
I feel bad on Tammy Abraham.
Oh yeah, massively. He's England's number 2 striker and has been for some time, hasn't he?
But he's not going to make it.
Probably,
I don't because with Sancho, he's a good player, but how many things on that wing would you have had to have tried before you get to him? You know, like you're telling me Foden hasn't worked, Grealish hasn't worked, Saka hasn't worked, Sterling hasn't worked, Mount hasn't worked.
Yeah.
And if you took Rashford, you maybe tried him out there ahead of him.
Well,
even
one
by
of the
that point.
one of the wide positions still, because there's 2 to go, isn't there? So you may get an injury or a suspension or badly out of form. For me, before thinking about this, do you go brave and say actually you're taking Abraham essentially over Connor Cody?
Oh God, no. No.
You don't think so?
You need options for Harry Maguire to fuck it up and honestly really play himself out of, like, I'm talking Rob Green.
But if he's
like,
not
levels of calamity.
But if he's not playing, if England are playing in that back 4, if they're playing in a back 4, there's only 2 spots there, and it's Dyer, Stones, and Cody in there, I guess. Then if Maguire's not playing, because I don't think you play Walker in one of the 2, do you? It's just not possible.
No. Well, we can talk. We can talk about the. We can maybe predict a lineup for a pivotal game, but we're going with Rashford and I don't know.
It's either Abraham or
I think one of Rashford or Sancho will miss out unless Man United go on a tear, and they're central to it, which they would have to be.
Or is it a Sancho or an Abraham? Because Rashford can cover both positions. He can play out wide or up front. Again, it all depends on what their forms are like on it. If you were picking them tomorrow, for me, I'd be taking Rashford and Sancho because they could change the game. And he's never going to bring Harry Kane off.
Let's just go. Yeah, let's go with that then. Abraham, very sorry.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any surprises in here as such. We've gone Pickford, Pope, and Henderson as the goalkeepers. The defenders: Trippier, Walker, James, Alexander-Arnold, Chilwell, Shaw, Maguire, Stones, Dyer, and Cody. Probably a surprising Cody. Bellingham, Rice, Henderson, and Ward-Prowse / Phillips, with Phillips getting the first seat on the plane unless he's injured. Our sort of winger types are Foden, Grealish, Saka, Sterling, Mount, and Jadon Sancho, with Kane and Marcus Rashford as our centre forward options. Obviously, Rashford could play on the wings if need be. If we've tried Foden, Grealish, Saka, Sterling, Mount, and Sancho, and we're not getting any balls into the box, we can maybe look to get Marcus Rashford in. How do you feel about that? Because we've tried to predict Southgate there, and it's pretty close to what I would take anyway. I'd love to see Ivan Toney go for narrative.
Yeah, definitely. It's a shame he wasn't given more of a chance over the period, but maybe he was looking to the future of like, well, I may not be able to take you in the World Cup, but at the next stage, you're going to be a player I want to play, maybe with Abraham and switching out.
I'd love to see Tomori go and start for the Harry Maguire just fear factor that I have, and just it is a pure unknown. I've seen him play like 2 or 3 games tomorrow.
The thing is, though, with Tomori as well, it just not frustrates me, but it amazes me. People just like, just get him in the team. You've got to, and it's like he's played 3 games for England. I'm pretty sure that like 2 of them have been substitute appearances. One was in 2019.
Yeah,
and it's like really in the living memory, he's played twice for England, starting 1 game, and we're like start him in the World Cup. At least, even like back when. In 2018, Maguire had played like 10 games for England and was like a stable player in the side.
Yeah, but things have to change at some point.
I genuinely think it's the Eric Dyer thing that's kind of... Because I'd say you'd be taken to Tomori if Dyer doesn't go.
Yeah, perhaps. But Dyer probably should go. Can you imagine if Harry Kane gets injured? Can you imagine? It's sorry to say it, but I mean, we've got good attacking players, but you don't want to see that team without him, do you?
No, not at all. There's no focal point there at all.
Middle of the Prem season as well, like, bloody,
it's
getting cold.
Corrupt bastards.
I know. Do we want to finish up with predicting starting 11? If say for example, it's a big England game. Say we need to. What do you want to say? We need to win against Wales
Yeah, if England needed, well, or you could even say like if they got to a knockout tie
against
with a
a
team.
good international side. Like
Yeah.
we're not getting through and playing. Say Ecuador. Nothing wrong with Ecuador. I don't even know if they're at the World Cup.
Sorry, Ecuador.
But a side where we're going. This is a big game. I couldn't predict who's going to win.
Yeah.
I would obviously start with Jordan Pickford in goal, and I would suggest that we probably
Pickford's
play
goal.
3 at the back.
Yeah. Again, we've come to the 3 at the back again, haven't we? Because it's
I
just
think
like
so.
that's
I would
what's
just
gonna
do it
happen.
anyway.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be messing about with 4-3-3. Personally, I don't think we've got the players for it.
No.
Anyway, right back.
Well, is it right back, right wing back, whatever we're going to
Yeah,
call
right-
it?
right wing back.
I'd say James
gotta
plays.
be James.
I think James plays like.
I think we're going to end up with a team that's very similar to the one that played Germany a couple of days ago.
I think it's going to end up being James,
Walker,
Dyer.
Maguire.
Well, it's John Stones playing instead of.
Oh shit! I would start. Well, it's going to be Walker, Stones, Maguire then.
Yeah, you'd say so. I only think the idea would be that Stones plays in Maguire's position.
By the way, I do not endorse this lineup. This is just what I predict England would play.
I'm probably sure.
And probably Shaw. Yeah, probably based on that performance.
Because
But he might not kick enough a ball for United until then as well.
Yeah, but it's not like they don't have like Europa League games and other ones as well. And Malassia's going to play every single game.
No,
And-
and Shaw's in shape now as well.
Well, for now, yeah. I mean,
Motivated Shaw.
I mean, what's the time?
Yeah. So what we're saying? Walker, Stones, Maguire,
Yeah, it'd be Walker, Stones, Maguire, and
Rice and
James Shaw, and then Philip Rice and Bellingham.
Rice and Bellingham in the mid. Yeah, definitely. And then it's Kane, it's Sterling, and for me, it's Saka.
Yeah, I'd agree with that because I think he brings the best of kind of everything with him. Saka does. He's quick enough. He's great on the ball enough. His passing's excellent. He can run past players. Like he's come on leaps and bounds since that Euros. Even I'd say.
And you just think, okay, that's decent. I kind of like that team. I don't like Harry Maguire in there, but he's going to play him anyway. You're leaving out Jack Grealish. You're leaving out Phil Foden.
Yeah, but this is the exact thing of you're leaving out my mate. How dare you? Kind of thing. But
there's no one size fits all.
No,
it's a bad,
and it's 5 substitutes we've got to think about as well. That England can change that entire team if they wanted. That forward line can just go, yep, everything's different now. You can bring Foden on, you can bring Grealish on, Mount and Sancho, Rashford to change things as well. Arnold the right back, it's there. I mean, I know we've kind of mentioned Maguire to death almost, but like if something happened to Harry Maguire in terms of an injury. Does that change entirely what England do? And do they just have to bite the bullet and go, actually, it's still a back 3, probably you're going to play your Dyer with like a Stones there.
Yeah.
So does that change everything? Or is it Stones and almost the player who wasn't going to play, who wasn't going to be called up like a Tomori or someone else?
It's Cody time. Do we want to predict where England are going to get in this tournament? Balls on the table. I don't know how it would end up past the group. But fuck it. Let's finish off the pod with a wild prediction each.
I think England will get to the quarters.
People say we agree too much, but I think, you know what? I'll go against that and I'll say first knockout round.
First knockout. Okay, fair enough.
Exit. Listeners, there's a lot of road ahead of us.
Yeah.
Do stay tuned to our socials and everything like that because we are going to be doing a special World Cup preview live show just before the World Cup kicks off and just before, obviously, England's first game. More news about that to be announced very soon. I hope you enjoyed the show and just keep thinking about the World Cup and wishing good things to happen.
It's all going to be fine. And things that you get the excitement about it as well. Like it's been quite doom and gloom today, but actually when it comes around, and you've got that excitement about, an England thing. Maybe they can do something. Maybe it can do that. Like it feels like we're in the days of like a Hodgson or something. But when you look at that England team, they should be doing well. And it maybe there's certain problems in there. But when they can turn it on in certain games and in situations where they do need to change it. And, how many times since we've been doing this podcast have the England team has been set in stone. They will play every single game at this tournament.
Yeah.
But shit changes, shit happens, and you just go, actually, what kind of team were we thinking at the start? Like,
Yeah.
and it happened at the Euros.
It
Even
really
at times.
did. It really did. I don't think I could have put it any better than that. It's all going to be fine. Thank you very much, listeners.